88, The Mark of the Devil. This one is a little like fun. It's got quite a groovy instrumental, but again, it doesn't do enough to really lift it up. It doesn't have much about it. 87 is Inside Susan. This one's really interesting. It could be higher, and if someone's like, oh, this should definitely be higher, I'd probably agree with them. It's a really kind of interesting, literally like perspective inside someone, Susan in this case, and like her memories and stuff like that, set in this like kind of bus ride where it's raining, you know, as many bus rides go through, it's rain. And yeah, it's an interesting one to check out for sure, and I think it works very well. 86, we have Street Operator. This one's quite funny because I think almost everyone immediately thinks of someone when they hear this song. It's kind of making fun of the person that's kind of trying to be all like streetwise and like knows his stuff, and specifically in regards to gear, as they're talking about here, but actually doesn't have a clue. And I think it's very funny in that respect, and it's a decent little tune as well. It's got a good little guitar bit, and yeah, I mean, it's a good tune. 85 is Manon. This is quite a sad one, Freaks era as well, I'm pretty sure. When he starts speaking French at the end, you know it's real, you know you're getting into some real stuff, and it's great. It's a great little mournful track. Love it. 84 is Like a Friend. This, I'm not as mad keen about this as some people are. I think it's alright. It's a bit incelly. It's a bit him whining. Not non-stop, but just whining. But yeah, I recognise the emotions in it. I just don't rate it as much as other people do. 83 is Bob Lind, The Only Way Is Down. This one's a weird one because the first like 20 seconds of it, you're like, what is this? And the guitar's all over the place, and obviously intentionally, but still. And you're like, what's going on? But then if you give it time, towards the end, it starts really growing on you. Like, actually, this is really good. But then whenever you start to listen to it again, you're like, oh god, this is awful. But you got to give it time. So it can't really be any higher than it is, but it can't really be any lower. 82 is Don't Lose It. This one's a good one. It's got good references to kind of the industry as a whole, which he'd obviously explore later. 81 is The Day After the Revolution. Decent track. I hate the CD version being 14 minutes, and 10 minutes is just the same chord over and over. What is this? A Swans song? But no, it's a decent tune. Got a decent bit of lyricism, but nothing incredible. So yeah, 81, decent spot for it. 80, Wishful Thinking. This is one of the higher up ones, and yeah, it's just a little fun little piece of music, quite catchy, and one I would recommend. 79 is Help the Aged, which this one gets unfairly criticised like a ton. And it was, I remember reading it was the track that made Russell Sr. be like, no, I'm done with this, and leave. And I can blame him, but only so much. The first 10 seconds, again, what I was talking about, this is hardcore era stuff. The first 10 seconds, oh, god awful. The like Help the Aged coming in with like no backing music, I think that just sounds really stupid. But then you start building on you, and then by the end, we're like, if you could live tomorrow today, I think that's what he says. It's got a great energy behind it, but the beginning does let it down. 78 is The Will to Power. This is a good tune. Don't really have much to say about it. It's not the best, but it's good. 77 is Being Followed Home. This one's quite a creepy one. Works really well with the Freaks aesthetic, and the like footsteps at the start, and how it really picks up this energy and this really like dark kind of this atmosphere, and this extreme energy it has is really quite something to behold. 76 is Everybody's Problem. This one's really catchy. I have no clue why, when, or how it was released. I found it, like, the only version of it was on, like, some compilation album of, like, indie stuff from the 80s. But it's great. It's got a great guitar riff, catchy lyrics, and it's just a lovely little piece of music. 75 is Little Girl with Blue Eyes. This has one of the most quotable and funniest Pulp lyrics in history. If you listen to it, you'll know which one I'm talking about. And yeah, it's a kind of classic Pulp tune in the way that it's set up, and that is not a bad thing at all. In fact, it's a good thing. 74 is Happy Endings. A good track. It ties in well with the his and hers aesthetic. And yeah, generally, I don't have much bad to say about it. 73 is After You. This is a good one, an underrated one, and some people might skip it out because it was like released in 2016, way after all the other Pulp stuff. But it's a great like dance tune. Got some smart lyrics, some really dumb lyrics as well. I think the shaking her booty I didn't need to hear Jarvis say that. You didn't need Jarvis to say that. No one needed Jarvis to say that. But he said it, and you know it is what it is. 72 is Your Sister's Clothes. This one again tying in with a baby's aesthetic and style. It's a good one. It's a bit of a weird one, but like that's the point, you know. The point is it's a bit weird and it gets to be being a bit but like yeah, it's a great track and really Pulp coming into their own there. 71 is Stacks. This is a really catchy one, got some nice like synth actions and just a really like fun upbeat one if you're looking for something like that. 70 is Someone Like the Moon, a really sad one. Not the saddest Pulp have ever done. It really fits well as like a kind of slower track in his and hers. 69 is STYLOROC, Knights of Suburbia. Again, it's talking about the like suburban stuff and you start seeing where Pulp kind of picked up their kind of ideas from. And yeah, it's got quite a decent pace, it's got decent instrumentation, and it's just one, you know, it's just one you want to listen to. After you listen to it once, you just want to listen to it again. 68 is Party Hard, a relatively high point on This Is Hardcore. It brings like energy and introspection as well. It's kind of a bit similar to Sorted. It's like the Sorted of This Is Hardcore. It brings that kind of like before the party, after during the party, after the party ideas. 67, Down by the River, a great track from Separations, really just like soulful moments at points, and a poignant one, because I've said points, I might as well say poignant, and yeah, not to be overlooked. 66 Seconds, again that classic Pulp, his and hers style, suburban, things aren't going well when they used to, but it works quite well. 65 is Glory Days. Yes, Cocaine Socialism works better with this style, but this is one that I think gets unfairly hate. It's actually pretty good, and it's just a classic one talking about something that I think is quite relatable to all of us. 64 is Tunnel. This one's really weird. I wish it had been on Freaks instead of some of the other Freaks tracks. The weird, distorted, screaming vocals as it like kind of grows, and the dark, it's got a really intense claustrophobic atmosphere. And when the front cover of Freaks talks about claustrophobia, this like is what should be on it. I think it works very well, and it's a shame it isn't on it because it's just an experience to listen to. 63 is Monday Morning. This is probably gonna piss some people off. Some people should think it should be higher, but it doesn't really do much for me. It's like, yeah, Monday mornings suck. It's like, what more do you really want to say on the matter? I like the stomach in, chest out, on your marks, get set, go, and then it comes back in again with full energy. That bit's great, but generally it doesn't do that much for me. 62 is Something Changed, a lovely love song, a lovely happy one, and a bit of a standout on Different Class for its genuinely positive atmosphere and ideas, and there's nothing really bad to say about it in that regard, but it just doesn't interest me as much as my other tracks. 61 is Joking Aside. This is one of the real highlights of it. It's just a simple, doesn't try too hard, got some nice smooth lyrics over the top of a lovely instrumental. Lovely stuff. 60 is Frightened. Again, this is one of the ones I think from the His and Hers deluxe edition, but you can find it in some other places as well. This is quite good. It's got some quite interesting lyrics about, again, the suburban kind of idea, and he's quite frightened of it actually, hence the name Frightened. And at 59 we have CATCLIFFE Shakedown. This one's one I've listened to quite a lot, but I didn't really think I could put it any higher because the instrumental's not great. It's good, and it's a great track overall. I do like it. I'm a big fan of it. But again, it just doesn't do enough to really interest me. But the lyrics are great, and I think this is one that some of you might fall in love with, so this is one I definitely recommend. 58 is Don't You Know. Again, another high point on Freaks, in my opinion. It's just real sadness. Like, the way he delivers the lyrics are beautiful at some points, you know? And the real, like, eeriness and darkness of it, it's perfect. And at number 57 we have A Professional. This is Jarvis really in his element. This is like the Jarvis track. He's like really close up whispering lyrics, but with that real venom. It really gets you like that. 56 is My Lighthouse. Again, another high point on it. Again, doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's just a fun little track. And it's got a bit of lyricism in it. You can read the lyrics a bit and have a little bit of a think, but again, the main thing is the aesthetic for this one. It really has this like bright energy, which is a bit of a change from Pulp. Then at 55, you have You Seen Her Lately? This one's quite a sad one, or very sad one, and quite a sad one. Again, relationship issues. What's new? it's an important track for His and Hers because it balances the album out nicely. And at 54 we have His and Hers, which is not on His and Hers. It's on the deluxe edition, though. This one, again, the like sexual tones it goes into. It's interesting. It's a fun listen that makes you go, and that's definitely not to be sniffed at. 53 is Don't You Want Me Anymore. This one can have the potential to hit like a truck. It doesn't normally, but sometimes when you get in that big like climax and build up, and it's like he hits you with Don't You Want Me Anymore, and you're like, oh damn, yes, that's what we came to see. That's what we paid our money for. Very well worked track. 52 is My Legendary Girlfriend. This one is great for a multitude of reasons. It really like layers up as it goes along. It's quite a long one, but not really long, just a bit long. And it like builds up, and he's doing this like whispery intro, and then I read some person talking about how they said they wished he hadn't properly sung on this one, like towards like second half of the track. I'd completely disagree. I think the singing's great and it works very well, and the kind of idea, it really gets you in a zone, and I think it works very well in that regard. 51 is They Suffocate at Night. Again, a sad one, a dark one from Freaks, but it's a minute more raw, and it's very feeling track, which is good to see. 50 is Streetlights. This one has buckets of aesthetic, the like whispery vocals, amazing electronic synthesized sounds. It all combines to make a really lovely package. 49 is Misshapes, a great track for Broken Brisket's song. Some people would say this should be like 20 places higher, but no, it's got something about it, but it just doesn't really do enough for me. 48 is I Love Life. This one's great. It's a lovely kind of more positive one, and it shows evolution of Pulp's ideas. I don't like the kind of second half of it, when I think it just drags on, and the like fight to your death till they give you back your life thing. It just goes on and on and over and over and over, and it's like, lads, please, I want out. I wanted this track to finish before it did. 47 is Weeds. This one's great. It's a lovely intro track for an album. It's got great, I think it's like an acoustic-y guitar sound, and then it kind of builds up. The lyrics have a rhythm, they have a flow, they've got ideas behind them. It's just a very well compacted thing, and it leads great into Weeds too. What's not to like? 46, There's No Emotion. This one, it's a bit of a sadder one. It's a Freaks one that really ties everything together quite nicely and builds on some of the ideas and then fleshes them out more. 45 is Bad Cover Version. It could be a lot higher, but the first time he says the chorus, and he says it slightly differently and slightly lower paced, and it really annoys me because you think you know what he's going to say and he doesn't say it, and it's just not as catchy. But then the next time he says it and you're like, yes, that's a great chorus, why didn't you do it the first time? It makes no sense. Great track though. 44, Bar Italia. Some people want this to be way higher, but it's good. It's good. It's got a nice, it's really catchy, and it's a good track in that regard, but it just doesn't do enough for me. 43 is This House Is Condemned. Now this is a fantastic track. The electronic themes, the fact that it's building on the kind of sense of entrapment and living the same thing over and over again. It's a real track you can get lost in, and everything about it is great. Why is it at number 43? I don't know. Well, I do know. Again, you know what I'm about to say. It just doesn't do enough for me to really propel it up into the real upper echelons of pulpness, even though all these tracks here are great tracks. 42, The Night That Minnie Timperley Died. It's got a great energy. It's got great vocals. What's not to like? Well, what's not to like is the story doesn't make exact sense. I think we're missing some bits out, which is obviously because it's a song, you can't include everything, but it does mean it falls a little bit flat because it feels like it ends before its time, which may be an intentional artistic choice, but either way it means I don't enjoy it as much as I would. 41 is Aborigine. This one is exceptional, and this one I feel a lot of people are sleeping on just because we haven't heard of it before, but the energy, the relentless vocals go over and over and over again, the real dark tones and ideas it explores. I would definitely recommend this one to all because it is fantastic. 40 is A Dirty World. This one, I when I first heard it, I listened to it non-stop for a while because it's just a sensational track. The tones it explores, the dancey vibe it has, while still having that kind of grit to it. It's a great track. There's not much else to say about it, really. 39 is Live On. This was one of my favourites at one point. It slipped down a bit because I haven't listened to it as much lately. But if you want a fun, upbeat, energetic Pulp track, this is look no further, really. Well, I mean, there are better ones up for the list, but at this point, look no further until you look further. 38 is ANSAPHONE. This one's a lovely, soothing, quite exposed track. He's quite emotionally exposed, not physically exposed. We're talking emotions here. And yeah, it's a beautiful little track, and it's got a lot going for it. 37 is Live Bed Show. Some people might put this a lot higher. I would not disagree with those people. It's a great track, really kind of sad, but not sad as in like properly sad. Sad as in just like bittersweet somewhat. Relationships, it's got a fair bit going for it. 36 is Death 2, a highlight of separations. Electronic sound really packs a punch, and lyrics that remind me a lot of How Soon Is Now. Is that kind of idea of, the emptiness in clubbing that he's experiencing anyway. And yeah, it's a great track. 35 is Cocaine Socialism. A lot of people want this to be higher. A lot of people say it's their favourite Pulp song. It's not my favourite Pulp song, it's my 35th favourite Pulp song, but it's still a great track. Who doesn't love a bit of political commentary by Jarvis Cocker? No one. Everyone loves it. It's great. 34 is Blue Girls. This is a really sad one, a really atmospheric one. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it's true, and it gives you that sense of wanting more when you finish listening to it. You just want to listen to it again, and that's a positive. That's a big positive. 33 is Lipgloss, a classic, relationship sad one. I feel like when you power through all of them, you start seeing similarities. All these tracks are different and distinct, I promise. And this one really works well with the whole thing of His and Hers, and is another reason why it's the best Pulp album. 32 is Fairground. This is an exceptional track, very unlike most other stuff, but it suits Freaks perfectly. It's got more of Russell Sr. on the vocals, which is quite interesting. You've got Jarvis Cocker making almost like a cameo, which is quite interesting. It's something that you don't really see in many Pulp songs, because after that era they kind of moved to just being Jarvis who was singing. But the really dark tones, the twisted Fairground aesthetic, it all works perfect. 31, I Want You. This one is just a beautiful classic love song, but it's got that Pulp edge to it, the Pulp twist, which really elevates it, but generally a very well put together song. 30 is She's a Lady. This one has the classic electronic synth sounds. It connects nicely with the themes on His and Hers, and it's just a really powerful track at moments. 29 is Acrylic Afternoons. I was a big fan of it when I kind of stopped listening to it, and then I kind of got back into it, and so it's one I've got a long history with, and yeah, it's a great track. It's got a great tone, atmosphere, brilliant. 28 is The Boss. This one is short, it's powerful, it's punchy, it's to the point. It's just a classic Pulp story told in a classic Pulp way with this hammering synth sounds and this brilliant guitar, and it just works perfectly. 27 is P.T.A. This one is like a bop, and I do not use that word often, but it just is what it is. Incredibly creepy lyrics, incredibly creepy, but nothing can stop me from playing this all the time. Or not quite all the time, a bit of the time, quite a lot of the time, because it just is. It is a great song, and there's really no denying that for this one.